For Pacifica Radio, I'm Scott Baba. Iran's supreme leader has rejected U.S. calls for surrender in the face of blistering Israeli strikes and warned that any military involvement by the United States would cause, quote, irreparable damage to them. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's comments came a day after President Donald Trump demanded Iran surrender in a social media post and warned Khamenei that the U.S. knows where he is hiding but has no plans to kill him, quote, at least for now. Trump had initially distanced himself from Israel's surprise attack, but in recent days has hinted at greater American involvement. Ollie Barrett reports.
US President Donald Trump is reportedly deciding whether the US should get directly involved in the Israel-Iran conflict. He's been holding talks with advisors at the White House to discuss possible strikes on Tehran's nuclear sites. President Trump's called for unconditional surrender from Iran. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei says Iran will never compromise. Former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Jamie Rubin says airstrikes might not be enough to achieve Washington's objectives.
The only way I would really be sure that Iran's Fordo facility and other facilities were destroyed would be if I knew we had commandos on the ground. That's called a ground war. That's an invasion. That's a whole nother level.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett.
Emergency workers have pulled more bodies from the rubble of a 9-story Kyiv apartment building demolished by a Russian missile. The finds today brought the death toll from the attack on the Ukrainian capital the previous day to 28. Authorities said that 23 of those killed were inside the building in one of Kyiv's districts that took a direct hit and collapsed. It was the deadliest single attack on Kyiv so far this year. Russia fired more than 440 drones and 32 missiles in what Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said was one of the biggest bombardments of the war, now in its 4th year. British lawmakers voted to decriminalize abortion, ending the threat of prosecution for women who terminate pregnancies outside legal guidelines. The change, part of a crime bill amendment, keeps existing medical rules, but removes penalties for women, marking the biggest advance in UK reproductive rights in over half a century. James Kitchen reports.
In the biggest shake-up in reproductive rights for almost 60 years, women who seek to terminate a pregnancy outside of 24 weeks no longer face the threat of arrest or prosecution.
The ayes are right, 379. The noes to the left, 137. So the ayes have it, unlock!
Labour's Tonia Antoniazzi tabled the amendment to the government's crime and policing bill, which passed by a majority of 242 votes. She says it's about supporting desperate women who need compassion.
Really good news for those women that currently find themselves in the system.
The legal framework and 24-week timeline with doctors' approval hasn't changed. Conservative MP Sir John Hayes.
This is the biggest change to abortion since 1967 with the least consideration or scrutiny. That's very sad.
The amended bill will now continue making its way through Parliament.
And that was James Kitchen reporting. A report released yesterday by the Congressional Budget Office says that President Donald Trump's sweeping budget bill would add $3.3 trillion to the national debt over a decade. The estimate includes projected interest costs and economic shifts tied to the plan. The bill's fate is uncertain after the Senate introduced changes Monday, including adjustments to tax credits and rollbacks of Biden-era climate initiatives. The House narrowly approved the original version. Republicans have set a July 4th deadline to deliver the final bill to Trump's desk as part of a broader push to reshape federal spending and policy. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is lifting a curfew in downtown Los Angeles. Her announcement yesterday comes after she first imposed the curfew June 10th in response to clashes with police, looting, and vandalism amid protests against President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown in the city. Bass, a Democrat, says she is lifting the curfew following, quote, successful crime prevention and suppression efforts. On Monday, she had previously trimmed back the hours after a drop in arrests during evening demonstrations. She says the curfew protected stores, restaurants, and businesses and residents from people engaging in vandalism and looting. I'm Scott Baba for Pacifica Radio.